of reasons that Tennessee Titans fans should be hopeful in 2025, but none of them are bigger than Cam Ward. I'll break it down on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. On today's show, we are going to do my top 3 biggest reasons for optimism for the Tennessee Titans, my top 3 biggest reasons for pessimism for the Tennessee Titans in 2025. Also, do want to thank you guys for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. Speaking of every day, shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. Couldn't do it without you guys. If you aren't an everydayer, you need to be one. I have year-round free Tennessee Titans content. You're not going to beat that anywhere else. Plus, training camp is less than 20 days from now, so football's right around the corner. Make sure the most informed, most entertained Tennessee Titans fan you can be this season. But with all that being said, do want to say happy holidays, folks. Happy 4th of July, Independence Day to all those that celebrate. Obviously, an American holiday for my international listeners. But if you are celebrating today, be safe and have fun. I got my, flag swag on here doing the show, ready to go. But with that being said, again, we're going to do the top 3 reasons for optimism for the Tennessee Titans in 2025. And I don't need to bury the lead here. Cam Ward is number 1 on the list. Cam Ward has restored hope to this franchise in a massive way, but it goes, further than just, for the future. Right now, this year, 2025, if Cam Ward is ready to go and Cam Ward is anything like what we saw from Cam Ward in college, then the Titans are going to have a chance to be competitive right away. The biggest reason for optimism in 2025 for the Titans by far is Cam Ward at quarterback. We've talked about it throughout the offseason. The low quarterback play that the Titans got, the poor quarterback play that the Tennessee Titans got last year, honestly, it tanked the beginning of the season, and by the time that it was even okay quarterback play, the season was off the rails. So the quarterback play sabotaged the season early on, and you have to think, with Cam Ward being the number 1 overall pick, that that's not going to be the case this year. The quarterback play isn't going to be what sabotages this team. And I've said it before, the biggest what if of last season, what if Will Levis doesn't blow up those first 2 weeks? What if the Titans start out 2-0? Even if they get bombed by Malik Willis in week 3, I was there, 40-17 or whatever it ended up being. Even if they get bombed by a much better Green Bay Packers roster and coaching staff, for that matter. Even if that happens, they go to Miami, they win. They're 3-1, they go to the bye. Imagine if the Titans were 3-1 going into the bye instead of 1-3. The season is infinitely different. So, a better version of Will Levis would have had this team at 3-1, and Cam Ward needs to be better than a better version of Will Levis, right? So just natural math right there. Major reason for optimism, but past that, I just want to remind people, this defense still does have talent. I think this is, again, I said it earlier this week, I don't think this defense was top 2, top 5 like everybody was acting. But I think they have the potential to be that if things break right. When I talked about the X factors, L'Jarius Sneed and Femi Oladipo have good years. This defense could be a top 10, top 5 defense. And the reason for that is they still do have talent. Jeffrey Simmons is still an incredible player. T'Vondre Sweat was really good last year. Cody Barton is a really good player. Amani Hooker is a really good player. Arden Key isn't a great edge rusher, but he's a solid NFL rotational player who would play even on... Arden Key would be a solid rotational piece even on the best teams in the NFL. If he was on the Eagles right now, or the 49ers went 6-11 last year, but just top of mind. The Chiefs, you know what I mean? The Bills, the Ravens. Arden Key would play a lot for those teams. Xavier Woods is a solid starter. JBJ, Roger McCreary are solid for their roles. Like, this team has good defensive talent. It doesn't have great defensive talent everywhere that you need it. And there are certain spaces that could be really, really bad, which we'll get to that. But don't ever forget, this defense has talent. It does. Like, the Titans' defense is not as bad off talent-wise as the offense is. So I just want to remind people here, like, the Titans do have some good defensive talent out there. And again, if Femi were to hit and L'Jarius Sneed were to come back and actually be himself, this could be a really good defense. And even if the offense is limited because the offensive line is new together and maybe there are some pieces like center and left tackle that just don't hit right, even if, the offensive weapons, which we're going to talk about all of that, even if everything isn't perfect on offense and things don't go absolute peak potential like we think, or hope, I guess, should say, the defense is still good enough for this team to be a competitive football team and win 6 or 7 games. Like, the defense can be the best part about this team, and if the offense is just a little bit better, that could be a very competitive football team. And I think 6 or 7 wins for the Titans this year would be a home run season for the Titans to bounce back that way. So, if you want to have optimism for 2025, the defense is going to be a big part of that optimism. Cam Ward and then the talent that they already have on defense would be the 2 biggest points. But I also got to bring in the third part here. The offensive line. In theory, I have my doubts. Okay, we got to be able to separate what I am predicting is going to be the case and what could potentially be the case. This offensive line could be a lot better. A lot better. A lot better. This could be a top 10 offensive line. There's potential to do it. I even think if Lloyd Cushenberry isn't ready right away, Corey Levin is just another guy role-playing center. If Dan Moore is as good as the Titans paid him to be, which is really where my doubts come in, but if Dan Moore is as good as he's being paid to be, J.C. Latham takes the step, Skoronski takes the step, Kevin Zeitler can just continue to be Kevin Zeitler. We don't need anything amazing. Just be yourself. Be yourself. That collection of people could be really solid. And then if Cushenberry does come back and is to the level that, we were expecting, that's a top 10 O-line. And if the Titans have a top 10 O-line on offense with Cam Ward back there and giving him time like the Miami offense, I mean, he's not going to have that much time. But again, if Cam Ward feels comfortable to utilize that playmaking skill and feel like he has time and just a little bit of confidence and comfortability with the offensive line, he's going to feel comfortable to make those dynamic plays that could totally change this team and change our Sunday viewing experience as well. So if you want reasons for optimism, it's Cam Ward, it's the defense, and it's what this offensive line could be. Those are clearly the biggest ones. Now, we got to be fair. If you're looking for pessimism, you can find that as well. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Look, we've all been there. You're logging on early. You're waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show that you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. They have the Gametime guarantee, a panoramic view from your seat, literally the best features in the industry, and that's why I've bought football, basketball, baseball, concert tickets, comedy tickets on Gametime. Take the guesswork out of buying Gametime, or take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Titans fans, let's cap off today's holiday edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We talked about reasons for optimism for the Tennessee Titans, Cam Ward, the defense, the offensive line. Now we need to talk about reasons for pessimism for the Tennessee Titans in 2025, reasons that things could go very, very poorly. Before we dive in, I do want to thank you again for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. For your second listen, check out Locked On NFL Scouting. As training camp gets closer, moves are being made. Host Kyle Krabs and Joe Marino will make you the most informed NFL fan this offseason. Find Locked On NFL Scouting on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So I am going to do a little bit of a shortened show today. It's a holiday episode. Also, obviously, as you guys know, I've been dealing with this sickness all week long. I'm feeling a lot better, but it certainly is still there and letting me know it. But with that being said, let's talk about these reasons for pessimism. So number one on my list is Brian Callahan. Like right now, we just have no idea that Brian Callahan is the answer. I don't know how anybody could have firm optimism about Brian Callahan. I think that Brian Callahan is going to be a great play designer and a great play caller in the NFL. But I don't know if that means he's going to be a great head coach. And if the leadership aspects, if the game management aspects, if the staff management aspects don't get better, if they don't improve, then there is no play design, play calling success that can save Brian Callahan from that problem. So to me, if you're going to be pessimistic and what could go wrong for this team, I think the number one thing on that list is Brian Callahan is not good enough to be a head coach in the NFL. That's the number one thing that could go wrong. Will it? I hope not. I want Brian, as I said, Brian Callahan seems like a very nice guy. He seems like an intelligent guy. It's not like the Titans are going to, have some dumb coach who doesn't see what's going on in the league and can't, I don't believe any of that. But just because you can design good plays, get guys open, call good plays, does not mean that you can be a great head coach in the NFL. It takes more than that. And does Brian Callahan have the other stuff? It's funny, all the stuff that I thought Mike Vrabel was missing, Brian Callahan has. But all the stuff that Brian Callahan has that he may be missing is the stuff that Mike Vrabel has. So it's like if we could combine those two people, they would be an elite head coach. They would be absolutely incredible. It would be Sean McVay, right? But you can't. And it's like, what would you rather have? And right now we're kind of seeing it. So if you want to be pessimistic about the Titans, the number one thing on that list is maybe Brian Callahan just isn't a good NFL coach. Maybe he's a bad NFL head coach. And he needs to go be an offensive coordinator before he's ready for that opportunity that he'll get 5-6 years from now. You know what I mean? When he's in his late 40s and he's learned more and he's not so young and green. And, that is a major thing. And it's not just pessimistic to think that. It's logical that could be an outcome. Now, the second thing that you could be pessimistic about is the pass rush. We talked about the defense having talent. Arden Key, like I said, would be a solid rotational player even on a good football team. But he would be a solid rotational player, not an every down starter that is your number one edge rusher. That is a miscast for Arden Key. So if Femi Oladejo doesn't even have to be like a bust. Femi could be an awesome player and live up to his draft pick and even exceed the expectations of his draft pick. And it not happen this year. He's a project player. He's a project pick. So, counting on Femi, again, he's the X factor of the pass rush. If Femi is really good right away, then they'll be okay. If Femi is not ready right away and you have Lorenzo Carter and Jalen Harrell rushing or Draymond Jones rushing from the outside, which I don't think is his best use, this pass rush could be a disaster. And if it is a disaster, it's going to be hard for the defense to live up to its potential. And then now the team doesn't have what they need on either side of the ball. So that's where things could go wrong there, but I don't think I'm breaking news to you guys on that. And the final thing is, I had to sneak in an extra one here. It's just the supporting cast on offense. The O-line, we hope, is improved. And the O-line, like I said, is a big reason for optimism. The offensive line could be awesome. But if Latham doesn't take the step, if Skoronski is just the same as he was last year, if Corey Levin isn't good enough to replace Lloyd Cushenberry for a little time, and then Lloyd Cushenberry comes back and isn't himself because an Achilles tear is tough. If Dan Moore isn't anywhere near worth that contract, and he looks like the backup that the Pittsburgh Steelers thought he was. Even if Kevin Zeitler is just Kevin Zeitler, and he does exactly what he did for Detroit last year, it could be hard to overcome that for the Titans. So it could go either way, but really, it's the weapons. We can be as optimistic as we want to be about these rookie pass catchers, but they're rookies. And they're not highly drafted rookies either. It's not like the Titans drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors in the first round. Like, we can't have, we hope that Alec Iomanor turns into something and Xavier Restrepo makes the team and Chim Dike can expand his route tree to be a more versatile and effective player. But, we can't know that for sure. And if we can't know that for sure, and then we look at Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, and Van Jefferson, again, there's a reason that the Titans are not expected to be a good team this year because the roster just simply has some holes. And some of these young players and some of these points of optimism that we look at and hope that they break right for the Titans, because that would be great, not all of them are going to. So if you're looking for the biggest reasons for pessimism and things that could go wrong, it's Brian Callahan, it's the pass rush, and then it's the rookie weapons, because we just don't know because they're rookies. So that's really what you would look at and say, oh, I don't know how that's going to go. But again, this is a shortened holiday edition of Locked On Titans. I'm going to go hit the cough drops again, folks. But with that being said, that is going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.